news segment time. The news. So, we did find something in the news. So, scientists have figured out why childbirth became so complex and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think the craziest thing here, the World Health Organization estimates that 830 people die every day due to causes related to childbirth and pregnancy. That's insane. Just that number. It's a drop in the bucket for the number of people that die every day, but still, think about there can't be that many people that are pregnant or who have just had children in the world. What, a few million? If that?
Well, I feel like it's definitely gone up during COVID times.
No, actually.
Really?
They saw pregnancies drop. People don't like being around other people. Plus, they didn't want to get pregnant and then have to go to the hospital and get COVID.
So I figured they would have been spending more time with each other, and so it would have...
That's what a lot of people assumed. But then people realized that in the 21st century, nobody likes each other.
So the numbers have stayed the same?
They've decreased. Not to mention death rates increased.
Well, I wonder why.
Wait, hold up. So are you saying that
the
growth rate of the U.S. has gone down?
Yes.
Wait, what? So you're telling me that a global pandemic has led to an increase in mortality? Crazy.
In the U.S.
No. There's the... What is it called? So one of the calculators gives you... I think it's this one. Yeah. And then you can find the U.S. I don't care.
Hit close.
Population, it has gone up.
That's population, but look at the growth rate.
The growth rate is still above 0.
That's not what I was saying. I'm not saying it went to negative. I'm saying the growth rate dropped.
No, I asked...
That's not what you asked. Growth rate. You did not ask.
I said, is our population decreasing then?
That's not what you asked, though.
That's what I meant, though.
No.
That's what I meant, though.
But that's not what you asked.
Okay, I phrased it wrong, but that's what I meant. So no, the population growth has not gone down.
No.
That's what I...
No, population growth, yes.
No.
Population, no.
Yes.
You keep saying growth, and that's where that's going off.
Well, yeah, I meant, is our growth rate decreasing?
Yes.
Negatively. Is it below 0%?
No.
That's what I mean by decreasing.
Well, you have to say, because when you say... You have to understand, when you're talking about this, when you say decrease, it means the actual... It's like supply and demand. When you say a decrease in demand, that means two completely different...
but I'm talking about...
A change in demand versus a change in the quantity demanded are two different things. And that's the thing you have to remember here. When you say those two different things, they mean completely two different things.
Our population growth. Any number above 0, it is increasing.
Growth rate theoretically.
No, not the rate. The population is increasing.
Yes.
So our population is not decreasing.
No.
That's what... Okay, so we're on the same page.
No, that's purely because of immigration.
Population decreases when birth or immigration are more than death rate.
Slower than death rate.
Slower. You said when population is decreasing.
You said more.
I don't think you understood what I said.
No, you said
when population is decreasing.
I said population increasing.
No, you said decreasing.
I can literally play it back.
If you do, I'm sleepy.
I can play
it. Was
still, again, you both...
Not a fun day at work.
Yeah, anyway. No, I said the wrong thing, but I I interpreted it wrong.
Anyway,
He's sorry.
the U.S. population is still going up. Thank God for immigration and people who come into this country that have lots of kids. People coming to this country, please have more kids. People in this country have more kids. Anyways, that's the thing that bugs me about Greta, what's her face, is because she doesn't want to have kids. She doesn't want to keep having kids. And here's the issue with that. And even Neil
Now, here's the
deGrasse
issue what I have with that. You assuming that happiness and
I'm not
a
talking
good
about
life
happiness.
is having kids.
I'm not
No,
talking...
I don't like it when people are like, have kids, have kids. Kids are the best. Have kids, have kids. Like, no, let the person live. They don't want to have the kids. That's their own choice.
I'm not talking about happiness. Let me...
Yeah, no, but any other general sense. Don't pressure a child to have somebody have a child.
Here's the issue, though. Having a child is, despite what Greta says, and it's bad for the environment, yes.
Who's Greta?
Greta Thunberg,
Greta
whatever her
Thunberg.
name is. She's the, 14-year-old that went and spoke in front of the UN about the climate issue. She's the voice of my generation, apparently. Anyways, about the climate issue. Despite what her and a bunch of other people say, yes, having more babies does contribute to global warming. However, if humanity is to ever expand beyond Earth or to ever even solve the climate issue, we have to keep the population at a positive growth rate. And that means in developed countries.
However, a planet cannot sustain a positive growth rate indefinitely.
I'm getting there. You have to let me finish. The issue is developed countries, in developed countries, a kid has a better chance of solving these issues that are facing us, global warming. In developing countries, there just simply aren't enough resources. Yes, they will produce and consume less carbon. However, they will also not be able to contribute to society as much. Now,
It's because their societies are quote unquote disadvantaged compared to societies that are industrialized.
well,
And
they're
past
literally industrial
countries that are
nations have literally spent the past 100 years.
post-industrialized.
I mean, post-industrialized
countries.
nations has literally spent the last
Are you
100
serious?
years oppressing them.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
the U.S. has policies in place currently that are actively trying to oppress other countries. Every post-industrial country has policy in place.
I always bring that up.
Is actively trying to oppress these countries because we need
was literally keeping COVID vaccines away from developing countries. They were ensuring that vaccines or not enough vaccines were getting to those countries.
because they can make more money that way. But that's a different. The point is, you have to keep population going. If population stops increasing, innovation and technology stops changing. Yes, you may still have some innovation, but it will not be at the rate it is now, and it will not be fast enough to get us to a point where it doesn't matter. Our civilization will collapse, humanity will collapse, and we will never see the stars. We will never do all these amazing things that could be possible. So people need to keep having kids.
Our generation will never see that.
Doesn't matter. It's what we do here now that helps them, and that's the kind of attitude. That's why we're not gonna. That's why people aren't having kids, and the same reason why we're in the situation we are. People are constantly thinking about today. They're not thinking about tomorrow. Everybody discounts the future. It's like, well, I don't have a kid today. I'll worry about it tomorrow. Well, that's the issue. You put everything off to the future, and now the future is here, and now look, we're all screwed.
What's that one saying?
And now they're like, well, I'm just not going to have kids. I'm like, that's the worst thing you could do.
You know, some people just don't want kids. I don't want kids.
Well, yes, there's people not wanting kids, that's fine. But the people saying they don't want them for the environment, that's adopt. Heaven forbid. It's wrong. You need to keep populations growing. If populations decrease, I mean, look what the hell's happening to Russia. They can't freaking fight a war against Ukraine. A country that literally everybody thought they would just steamroll. Now, granted, Russia's had other issues in trying to steamroll Ukraine, and the fact that they were trying to steamroll them. But they simply do not have the economy or anything to support it. The U.S. has spent the last 100 years building an economy strictly around war, which is why, well, maybe not since COVID's happened, but the U.S. could sustain a war like that. I mean, not that deadly of a war to our own troops that would never fly. Actually, I think World War II was the only time it's ever been that. Sorry, Civil War is the only time we've had death rates that high. I don't think World War II was even that.
Yeah, the Civil War had the most American deaths.
That's because it was only
every
Americans.
Civil War. But that's right. It's because it was
on American
America,
soil, and it was Americans fighting Americans. Anyways,
aside from having more kids, though, we also need to encourage more people to go into education to foster the growing mind. What?
Foster.
Phosphor?
Foster.
Foster?
Yes.
I think you said foster. You say posture?
Phosphor? That's phosphorus.
Yeah, but phosphor is not a word.
Foster. Phosphor's not a word?
It's foster.
It's foster.
Yeah. Foster is the act of raising. Prosper is...
Prosper. Oh, I think I meant prosper.
After.
Prosper still.
In order to prosper...
So our education can prosper?
Future
no,
terms.
you said trying to foster. You said trying to foster education. You're trying to prosper is what happens after fostering.
I'm not sure what I meant.
You meant foster.
What? No,
phosphor
would fit, but I think I meant to use the word prosper, even though it was used incorrectly. I don't.
Prosper is more future, and foster is more present.
Prosper, even though it was used incorrectly. Foster would be used more correctly. Anyways, education though would be vital though for the future.
If there's any field that you want guaranteed a job, it's education. There will be. Well, I mean, as long as there's funding for it.
And there should always be funding for it.
There won't.
See, that's the thing. My professor is from Puerto Rico, and he was talking about like how their education system is completely free. Granted, there are
there's several
fees and things. There is something to pay, but for the most part, education there is free, and that's what it should be pretty much everywhere. You should have the right to obtain
free if you have to get a loan.
Education.
No. Define education. If we're talking higher education, yes.
Yes. No, there are places where higher education is free.
Yeah, lots of places in Europe. And I think it's just college, though, not university.
What? What's the difference?
It's different. So, specifically in the UK, going to university and going to college are two different things.
Oh, well, define that. I don't know.
So, going to college is like going to community college here. Going to college school there is like it's like another year of high school. It's not even really.
It's a trade school.
Yeah, you're not even really getting a degree.
But you're getting a more practical degree.
Right. But
which is something that we should always enforce.
But going to university...
There's not enough enforcement on going to trade school.
Well, truth be told, I mean...
The world is always going to need electricians and plumbers and roofers. Those things are not going away.
Not yet.
But I don't anticipate having an autonomous plumber within the next 20 years.
I think plumbing will get... Not the next 20.
It'll be longer. Which is why those people will still have jobs if they get them now.
Either way, yes, but I'm playing long term. Honestly, in long term, I'm not sure what point of the humanity there's even going to be a point to humanity at that point. But that's a topic 50 years from now when AI is so good that there's no point to even humans learning anything. Anyways, AI will unlock the mysteries of the universe for us.
Yeah, and then we'll become lazy and die with our own incompetence.
Woo!
I don't think you should
So
be
you're
proud
all
of that.
for the end of the human race.
End goal. End goal.
You're all for end of the human race. Joyful.
End game. No, immortality. That's the thing. That's what I
What?
want. Immortality.
Love it. Love the idea of immortality.
It's great. The ability to never die. Actually, my favorite idea of immortality is the cognitive continuum. I came up with it. Basically, when you die, you immediately, your consciousness is transferred to another human being, one that's being just born. But because their brain is so small, everything you know and remember is slowly lost. And at some point, it just kind of bleeds into the new consciousness of this new person. And it's possible, we know what deja vu is, but it's possible that deja vu is these little clips from your previous life.
See, that's already a thing. The belief of past lives, that you are a reincarnation of
But
somebody else.
it's
That's
not
already a thing.
reincarnation. Reincarnation, no, this isn't reincarnation.
Yeah, but no,
Reincarnation
past.
suggests that you can.
It's
Reincarnation suggests
past
you can be
lives is
reborn as
that.
anything.
Yeah, no,
And
but
that
you're
there's.
talking about past lives, and that's already a theory that's been established. The
Yes.
idea
No, but
that
not in this way, though.
life. Yeah, no. There are accounts of kids who are like, there was this one kid who was, I think he lived in Chicago. He was like, "Mom, I forgot what he said, but he said something along the lines, I died in a fire. I was this woman." They did some research and they found that there was this lady who died in the Great Chicago Fire in the same building as this kid described. There
Yeah,
was another account.
but see,
There's this one person who,
those aren't in the same way that I'm suggesting. Those are mine's instantaneous, where like you die and then you become this person right away. Not in the future, like that's suggesting. That.
wait, no, are you like suggesting like when you quote unquote see the light, you're actually being born again and you're seeing the light of like wherever you're being born into? You're being
Yes.
born
But when
into the
you're
world again.
born, your brain is underdeveloped, so all these memories are
Yeah.
lost. They slowly
Yeah.
get lost,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
already a
just
theory
bleed
that's
into
been
this new
established, my
life.
guy.
What?
That's already an established theory that I've heard before.
That's because I've told you it before.
No,
No,
the
I've
one I
heard of
learned
it
was the
before.
egg theory.
Egg theory?
Egg theory, yeah. It was on, was it
What's the egg theory?
Kyrgyzstan? Which is the YouTuber? He has like 20 million subscribers or something. You heard of it?
No, but what is the egg? Did you tell me what it is?
Egg theory, I think it's.
Just tell me what it is.
Basically, it's this idea that everyone takes upon a life of someone else who had once existed, and eventually, after you have lived your entire life as every single person who has ever lived and who will ever live, then you become the it says the egg, a short story by Kyrgyzstan, however he says his name, and you become the almighty being.
Well, that's still
God.
not what I'm suggesting.
No, it's similar. It's like that.
It's still not correct. I haven't. What I'm suggesting isn't. No one's ever really had the.
I've already heard of the idea.
That's because I've talked about it before with you.
No, I've heard of
So
that
your idea
before.
is that you become every single person, though, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
What's
Okay.
your idea?
So that's
doctors,
what other people.
his
So other
his
people tell me
theory.
like there's more people now than have ever. There's like more people are being born all the time than there could have existed than ever before. Like
Yeah.
birth rates have increased. So it's like where are these new souls coming? I'm like I don't know. That's the only issue with the theory. I'm saying those people are new. So it's possible that mine is a new soul, but there's also a possibility that it's not.
Yeah.
Theory
So
is,
either way, there
you know
has
how
to be
when
new
people
souls.
Right.
There has to be new souls.
Theoretically.
And where do they come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just saying this would be my preferred way of immortality, where I get old enough to a point where all I really remember is like my birthday and like a few key details, like maybe that I went to university, at least once in my life. But after you've lived 1,000 years, you probably went to university multiple
wait.
times.
Okay, question. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was gonna ask a question that would debunk something, but then I realized souls aren't made of matter, because I was gonna say, well, if matter cannot be created nor destroyed, all souls that will ever be have already been created.
We don't know what a soul
But,
is. If
but
soul
because a
is,
soul is
if soul
souls
is,
cannot be defined by matter.
I mean,
A soul is not
theoretically it can
composed of
be.
matter.
Theoretically it can be. If a soul is based physically, it's literally just based on quantum states of your atoms in your brain.
I don't think a soul is physical.
Again,
Do you believe
if
in a
it
soul?
is.
If it is.
But we don't know. There's no way to
A
know. The
soul?
only way to properly know is to properly clone somebody and like literally take a status point of every single atom in somebody's brain and then rearrange them in another, and then literally just copy paste into another brain. Until that happens and we get over
The only
this.
problem is that due to chaos theory, everything is sensitive to initial conditions, and it is impossible to have precisely the same quantum states.
Well, I don't think quantum states really have an effect on the soul.
Do
I
you
think
guys
it's literally
believe
just
in
it's just on the
that?
chemical reactions
So,
and the electric. It's
But
literally,
even those are made of atoms with quantum states.
but the quantum states aren't going to affect that.
You don't think so?
No, why would they?
Everything is affected by quantum states.
How does an atom being in a different quantum state affect me today? It's not going to give me cancer.
It could. Butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect is such a ridiculous assumption that one flap of a butterfly will cause a hurricane. That's just improbable.
No, but the thing is, no, you're misinterpreting. The idea is that if you change initial conditions slightly, they've modeled weather patterns, right? And they've changed, and what they did was they had weather patterns, and the display did not show all the decimal points. So they only used like half of the decimal points that they had for the initial conditions that they used to replicate another weather pattern. What they found is they got a completely different weather. Not even the same weather. And that was using the same air pressure, the same everything, but just take off a few decimal points. And it gave a completely new weather. And so the idea is that if you have quantum states and you change something ever so slightly, it can go off in a chaotic pattern that results in a completely different future than what have
He left. Oh no, he's not. He's still there.
Then what?
I'm still here.
What would have otherwise occurred?
I don't know. The point is, you gotta turn that light back on. We're dark now. Either way. Anyways, and the last little bit here of the news before we'll just briefly discuss it. Something I've voiced: the first privately funded asteroid killer spotter is here, and here's my thing. So we were talking about the Hubble Space Telescope, and that when it eventually, if SpaceX for whatever, if Elon Musk doesn't decide using SpaceX to continue on Hubble's mission, and we just let it burn up in the atmosphere, that we're gonna lose out on a lot of. There's not a lot more we can do with Hubble, but are you still losing out on something special? And so I thought, like, well, Hubble was worth $1.5 billion to make, and I guarantee you it's probably paid that back tenfold in its discoveries and the amount of money that people have paid to use it. And I thought, well, theoretically, Elon Musk or some other company could build a telescope, probably cheaper than Hubble, that would be just as good, if not better than Hubble, and put it into space, and then private astronomers or universities can pay to use it, just like they do now. And they could probably put it in a more stable orbit. That way they can, they can save more, they can save money that way. They don't have to worry about adjusting its orbit all the time, like they have to do with Hubble. That's where I think it should be done. And that's kind of what this is, I'm assuming. This is probably a satellite or whatever that's hunting asteroids. Okay, actually, this is just an AI, it looks like. But either way, point is, I really think that's what should. I think that's worse. Neil deGrasse Tyson says that private companies will not send the first people to Mars. They will not do this. They will not do that. There's no money to be made there. But I think there is. I think Neil underestimates that if there is a
He
will.
doesn't think SpaceX will make it to Mars first?
No.
Why?
He says, what's the point?
Because money? What's the point? Innovation, just idea.
It doesn't. That's what the government's for. He says that private industry has no place in space for something like that. Private industry
Curiosity.
Doesn't matter.
What happens if you have lots of money with a curious mind?
AKA
Elon.
He says it doesn't. See, that's where he says Elon doesn't make sense. Why would he's like? What's the point here?
He has a curious mind and lots of money.
And that's why I didn't agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I said there's no. I'm like you're looking at it too close-mindedly. You've looked at space in the context of the past 100 years, past 50. That's how space has been done up until literally 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But now things are different. The U.S. government doesn't give a crap about anything.
Nope, it's the government.
Government doesn't give a crap about anything.
Nope.
And so it's going to be up to the private individual being funded by a large amount of other curious minds to do it.
Bezos.
No, Bezos just wants to have a rocket company because he can.
AKA another guy with lots of money.
But he's not shooting for Mars.
What's he shooting for? Just space?
To make money.
See, that was the thing. I don't really know how much I want to support commercialized spaceflight.
Why?
I don't know. It just seems like
You do it with planes.
no. That's just the thing. It's like
It's different.
Nothing we do can be sacred, because once one thing will always lead to another, and everything will always become commercialized. We can never keep anything sacred.
Oh my
Like,
god.
the internet was so
You
much
sound
better.
like a
Before-
freaking 1%er, and I love it.
What?
You
What'd
sound
you
like
say?
a 1%. You sound like a 1%er.
No, 1%ers want there to be commercialized space flight. 1%ers want to make money off of everything. They want
Fine, you
commercialized
sound
space
like a
flight.
boomer.
Okay, but that
In
doesn't
my
make me a
day,
1%er.
it was shaking.
That doesn't make me a 1%er.
You sound like a boomer instead.
That fair enough?
Well, that's the same way Neil deGrasse Tyson. I remember. I think. Oh, there was Safety Third podcast. I talked about how, why do old people, what's their deal? Why can't they figure out technology? And the issue is they're too closed-minded. That's what they said, that If you want to be able to stick with want to be able to keep up with what's going on, you need to be open-minded. The minute you become closed-minded, you get stuck, and then you won't want change. And that's what happens with older people is they like what they have, they don't decide to keep up with change, and then they become closed-minded. If you keep your mind open to new possibilities and new things, you'll constantly keep learning, and you'll be able to better keep up with things.
The problem is
Yeah,
once
I
commercials
do agree
step
with
in,
I do
because
agree with
you
Phil,
cannot
though.
enjoy anything when anything is commercialized. Like YouTube. It's awful when you have ads every 10 minutes. It's awful reading articles when there's pop-up ads and side ads. It's awful. And so that is why everything is better when it's not commercialized. Could you
Yeah.
imagine if
So
college was free, but there were ads hanging around everywhere?
There already are.
It'd be even worse.
No, it couldn't get worse. There
Oh,
already
it
is.
surely could. I would not put it past them to make it worse, just so they could commercialize everything, have ads everywhere,
Well, you couldn't.
so it's
place
free.
You couldn't place enough ads to pay for university.
Oh, but that's my point. Because if you did, nothing would ever get accomplished.
University
Nothing.
is
It's just-
commercialized.
Commercials are a distraction to learning and progress.
Well, university already is commercialized.
I still have to pay for it.
That's commercialized.
No, I think of commercialized as being free.
No,
Because it's ads.
that is a modern idea.
Yes, but that is not what I want anything else to become. Because the minute space becomes that, then it's like you can never enjoy anything. How would you like to go up into space and, look at the moon, but then be blasted by neon signs and billboards?
That won't work. It just here's the issue here's the issue you're looking
here,
at.
hold on, Doctor. I do agree with Phil. There's some. I can't really put a finger on it,
Ads and
but it just
commercials
feels.
ruin everything.
Hey, I was trying to go on your side here, you little jerk.
He wants to talk, though.
Would you shut up? It does. There is this weird feeling of like commercializing space travel. Like I can't really put a finger on it, but it just feels like you're constantly gonna see people on my way to go to space for the third time this month.
Exactly, because then the other thing is,
It just
idea of
spoils
having
it.
your space wings will no longer feel like a privilege because everyone has them.
Closed.
It spoils the experience. Or like, what is
People
it?
feel special anymore.
Yeah, okay, so there's this one beach in Thailand. I think, yeah, it is in Thailand. Most picturesque spot. And up until like the last decade, it has just been bombarded with so many tourists that it is destroying the natural ecosystem that made this beach
tourism is ruining
so
every
beautiful.
place. In my
Because-
Spanish class, we were talking about how tourism is ruining Latin America.
Because there's some places that have been, it's just like a private spot, and then it's just been commercialized to like everyone has to go to the spot, and it ruins the natural beauty.
Yes.
That's why I am not a
Absolutely.
fan. I'm not a huge fan of like, there's the temple in Cambodia and Angkor Wat, which is actually sinking into the man-made like canal. It's sinking into the mud because it's been bombarded with so many tourists over the last years. The Acropolis in Greece has been even more falling apart because there's so many tourists. Tourism has destroyed the natural wonder of the ancient world.
But that's
Absolutely.
not. But see, you're confusing causality here. So you're
But
thinking.
it's the truth.
But you're confusing causality. You're saying that the beauty existing, and then somebody said, "Oh, I can make money off of that," is what's ruining it. No, there was always somebody there that said, "I can make money off of this." What happened was
It's when it gets spoiled.
People figured out that we learned to fly. We can get across the planet in 12 hours. We can go anywhere we want within a day. I can be in China in 24 hours. That's the issue.
So where are you going with this?
Well,
It's a destruction of the natural world.
Well, he's interrupting me.
Wait, let him talk for a second. Keep
The
going.
natural world that we have an issue with.
No, not you. You keep going.
So here's the issue, right?
Explain how it's not causality. Keep going.
Tourism is, yes, what's causing commercialization. Commercialization was already there. It already existed. But that's not what's caused the issue. The issue is that it's being overly used. Commercialization.
And everything will be overly used if it is commercialized.
But it was already there to begin with.
And if it was never there, it would have never had that opportunity to grow. If it was always sacred and always this most beautiful thing that you are never allowed to see, or that only special rare occasions, it could be much easier to preserve.
Right. But nobody'd ever go to it. No one ever care about it. If you couldn't go to it, nobody'd care. Nobody's cared about space until they realized, oh, I have an opportunity. I could potentially go. No one's ever cared. We didn't care about space until we realized, oh, I can go there. It wasn't commercialization. It's already been there. Somebody worked out, I could probably make money off the moon, but I have no way of getting there. Now you have the opportunity to. It's like, well, now I can.
But you ruined it because you made people go there.
You didn't make people go there.
You offered them a chance.
Sure.
Back at its start.
You offered them a chance, and that ruined it.
It's the tragedy of the commons. It's all leads back to the basic idea that a natural resource is finite. And as long as we use it fairly and correctly, we cannot destroy it, we cannot overuse it. But
here's another
because
example.
we were not regulating it correctly, and these things are not being done correctly, it's not because it was being ruined before over commercialization came there. It's already being commercialized. Everything is commercialized. Hell, you can't breathe air for free. Hell, you can't survive for free.
What do you mean I can't breathe air for free?
We have to pay companies more money for the products that we buy so that they can even run, because the government wants them to have the air be clean. We pay more for products and pay higher taxes so that we have clean air to breathe. The air you breathe is not free. The water you drink is not free. Nothing is free anymore. Nothing's been free for a long time.
Yes.
Look,
here's a couple.
You can look up for free. What do you mean, no?
I can't go look at the night sky for free.
But you can turn your head upwards and just look at anything for free. I can look outside your window for free.
No, I could charge you for that.
No, I'm saying I can look at anything for free. Not anything. I can just sit here anywhere, almost anywhere, and sit there for free. You go to a park bench and sit there. You're looking at the lake for free.
But you couldn't do that without somebody saying that, hey, we need to allow this to be there.
But I can look at anything, no matter where you are. If you are somewhere where you did not pay to be, you are looking at that place for free.
You paid in a way for you to see that. Somebody paid
not neglecting travel. Neglecting travel.
I am neglecting travel. Somebody paid for that.
Who?
Somebody.
There are uncharted territories in the world. If you go somewhere that is uncharted, you are looking at that place for free.
Yes, uncharted places.
Exactly.
But everywhere else, no, actually no. Even uncharted places, they're uncharted because somebody decided they should be left uncharted, and you had to pay the government.
No, because no one can get there physically. They're uncharted because it's too difficult.
Not worth the money to go there. You can go
Curiosity inspires everything. No one has been curious enough to endanger their lives.
That's because it costs too much. Everything comes down to cost. Whether you want to accept that or not, everything comes down to cost. My entire degree was realizing that everything, anything and everything, and that's literally what they told me on day one in economics. Everything costs something. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is a cost somewhere, whether it's opportunity cost or physical cash. Something has a price, and someone is willing to pay that price. For something to be left uncharted, that has to be paid for so that no one can go there. And the fact that nobody has gone there...
Hold up. You're saying someone's paying for people not to go there?
Yep.
What do you mean? That makes no sense.
It's the whole concept.
That makes no... Someone's paying for people not to go there. That makes no sense. Why would they waste their money?
To preserve natural beauty. The whole reason we got here.
No. But no one's been there. How do they know it's beauty? How do they know what's there if no one's been there? Why would you pay that money?
You're mixing up again. It started off with nobody could go there because we didn't have the technology to go there. Now we have the technology to go there, but it costs too much to go there, and they don't know what's there, so they don't want to go there because it costs too much to go there.
No, because they're just not curious enough. I don't know if I follow. I think they're still uncharted territory.
It's the same reason why Neil says that privatized space travel will never get us to Mars first. No matter how curious, it's too damn expensive. It's the will of the government and the will of millions of people backing the government that will get us to Mars. Not a guy with $1 billion.
And you believe that?
I don't know.
Because that's my point. If you don't believe that, then that means that it is possible.
It's never happens. It's never happened in the history of humanity that the government didn't leave an expedition of discovery like that. It's never happened. We've never seen something like that. Even Christopher frickin' Columbus, that was a government-led thing. His government didn't want to fund him. He found a different government to fund him. The Vikings, that was their leader saying, go find us new land to conquer and pillage. Government-led. They wouldn't have done it otherwise.
I don't know if... No, I feel like there is an explorer that I read about. I don't know who it was.
What are you trying to figure out?
He's saying every explorer that discovered something was government-led. And I don't think that's true. I think there are...
Every major explorer.
I think there are a few.
And going to Mars first is a pretty big deal.
Well, I mean, freaking human migration. That was free.
Well, that's before governments existed.
We still had towns.
No, we didn't.
It depends how you define a town, I guess.
Humans were here more than 20,000 years ago already.
Humans were... Yes.
Therefore, governments did not exist.
Government? You define government as existing within the last 20,000? Well, it depends on your definition of a government.
Actually, less than 20,000 years.
Well, it depends on your definition of a government.
Well, don't you remember Neil deGrasse Tyson even said the first, proto-city didn't have a government?
Once again, it depends on your definition of a government.
Oh, wait, never mind.
That's his definition of a government.
What's your definition of a government?
Just a centralized leader.
Yeah, that didn't exist until the last 20,000 years.
No, every single matriarchal society had a person in charge that was leading them.
He even said no person was worth more than any other person.
No, that was their society. That was the egalitarian society of that place.
Right. But no one had nothing's exist. No one before that existed that there was a government.
No. There were. He was talking about that specific place. That place specifically.
Okay. Then when one person led everybody, that exists.
That's a government.
But I guarantee you, it started after civilization happened.
No. It happened in Samaria. No, it happened before Samaria. Because Samaria was in Mesopotamia, and that I don't remember when that was.
That was 20,000 years ago.
No, it was more. It was. I think it was
hunter and gatherers. Technically, from an anthropological viewpoint, did have a government. It was
Yeah.
egalitarian, where there was a distribution of labor,
No,
and that
egalitarian. No. Hold on. There's your
defined.
issue.
No, shut up.
We were literally just discussing that.
Economic.
He
See,
said
you talk
egalitarian is
about
not a government.
opening up your eyes to other possibilities, yet your economic mind won't look at other viewpoints,
I'm not
such
saying that
as
egalitarian in the form of what we consider as
the,
modern civilization was
the
considered as a modern government.
anthropological viewpoint.
Egalitarianism does not count.
That's ethnic centrist.
That's your
to
definition.
say
Once again, I'm saying that's your definition, which is
ethnic
why it depends
centrist
on
to
your definition of a
assume
government.
that hunter and gatherers did not have their own form of government. Their own form of government was they had a distribution of labor, and that defined their government.
It depends on your
But
definition
did
of
they
a
have
government.
laws? Without laws,
And
there is
your term,
yes, because communism.
Or can you just have a social
but,
construct? Does it need to be written down, or can you just have a social construct on what is acceptable or not?
That's
It's the same thing, right? The same thing.
writing it down. I don't know at what point you start to define
technically. Oh wait, hold on. I think I may have found it, Phil. That what you were looking for. The Epic of Gilgamesh was the first recorded sighting of a form of government because it was the first written out structure of laws, and that was ancient Mesopotamia.
What is
The
it called?
The Epic of Gilgamesh
Epic of Gilgamesh.
was the first recorded text of laws. Basically regarded as earliest surviving notable literature and second oldest religious text after the pyramid texts. The literary history of Gilgamesh.
2000
Yeah.
BC.
Yeah. It basically
been
was the first
exploring
recorded laws.
Australia. Australia was discovered after that.
But those
How do you discover
people were
something?
based off of,
I have an
were
issue with
not
that
using
part,
the same
Phil.
concept.
Phil,
What?
issue with that wording.
What?
I have an issue with that wording. When someone says when this place was discovered, like
No, I mean it was
when
uninhabited.
Columbus
It was uninhabited.
when this okay, are you talking about when the first Aboriginals discovered or landed?
Those
Okay,
places
'cause-
in Polynesia, it was uninhabited.
Because no, I'm sorry. It was just the way you worded it. Because I thought you were regarding when the UK came, when the English Empire. Because I have an issue with that wording. Is like, how do you discover something?
There were natives that discovered
Let me
America
finish.
before Christopher Columbus.
No. It's how do you discover something that was never missing to begin with? How does Columbus discover something that was never missing to begin with? You don't just
You
discover something
in
because it was
terms of
never.
revealing.
It was
its
always
identity.
there. It's just the way you worded it. It's just an
Then
imperialistic.
how should I have worded it?
But he was referring to before there was anything there to begin with.
No, it was just the
human
way
knew
Phil
existed.
worded
No,
it.
I'm
'Cause-
asking how should I have worded it?
No, you worded it how you worded it right. It was just the way I thought you were talking in regards of the British Empire coming to Australia, not the first humans to
No, the first humans.
Australia. Yeah, when you were talking from first contact of an uninhabited land that has never been interacted with humans, that's discovery.
Yeah.
Talking about, let's say, Columbus going to America, that his discovery, the term discovery in that regard, is imperialistic.
So what do you call
to
it?
say?
Yeah. What's the term for that?
Imperialism.
More, it's imperialism.
But what do you call the new discovery?
Well,
How do you what is the word for that? You don't imperialism is not the word for that.
it really isn't the best word for it, but when I wrote my final paper for one of my ethnic studies classes, I used first contact, first interaction of British to the
I
indigenous
guess
people
first
of the Americas. It's just first contact is
Well,
the
no, because we
better,
could
I
think
would
of
say the
like
better
the
term.
That's
first
right.
contact to the people.
That's what I just said. The first contact of the British Empire to the indigenous people of,
Yes.
well, actually, it was the Spanish Empire technically because he was employed under the Spanish crown.
Well, cause I guess
But
when I think of contact, I mean technically the
basically,
Aborigines, they made the first contact. They were the first people to step on land.
yeah. But when you like
Never seen
when the
migration.
first people came to the Americas, that was discovery because there's been nobody there before. That
Yes.
is discovering a new
And
land.
first contact. They're the first people to
And
contact
it
that land.
true, but in the sense of Columbus, it would be first contact of
With the people.
to New World. Yeah, basically first contact, not discovery.
The rediscovery,
But the
the
way,
revealing.
yeah, but the way you were in the context that you're talking about, yeah, discovery is the right term.
I think rediscovery
The rediscovery.
is the best term
No,
for what
even
Columbus did.
rediscovery is
He
still.
rediscovers
I
it.
The
saw the,
Europeans had no idea it
They had
existed.
yeah, it was a rediscovery.
yeah, but they'd never discovered it before. So how can you call it rediscovery? It's just first contact.
But
When
it's
the
if you
Europeans
don't want to
came
call it
into
discovery, you
contact,
have to call it something else. And first contact refers to what, in my opinion, and I think Phil over here is probably somewhat agreeing, is with referring to the people. But if we're talking just like, oh look, I discovered a new tree.
Again.
Again,
It had
it's
already been discovered.
It's already been
It's
discovered by
rediscovered.
humans. It's rediscovered. Yes, it's the first discovery for the Europeans,
But it's a
for
rediscovery for humanity.
yes,
hold
for
on.
what you could consider humanity. It's complicated. There probably isn't a word. We could probably make up a word and it'd be just okay.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But yeah, Epic of Gilgamesh, pretty much the first recorded standard of laws.
Alright, and those laws didn't spread across the entire known world.
No,
The
it was
entire
just
known world was
Mesopotamia.
still what you could say was proto-civilization. It was before that. They weren't.
It was
They didn't have laws. They were.
it
They
was
were
pretty much just it was centered in the Fertile Crescent. Basically, is where those laws were
right, and that's where the
known.
first civilization started. These people that
The Fertile
discovered
Crescent. Yep.
the people that discovered Australia, the Aborigines, they didn't have there was no social structure, or if there was, it was still based off of from the apes before.
It would have been hunter gatherer, and it slowly developed into chiefdoms.
Right. It wasn't. They didn't
That's what it would
have.
have been.
There was no government to lead it in the first place. No
Not until
centralized government.
And yeah, chiefdom. Yeah, chiefdoms are interesting because it's not really.
It's centralized. You have
It-
some. You have a
It's
guy.
centralized.
You have
It's
a guy or
centralized, but
woman
it's
in charge, and everyone else is kneeling before them. It's centralized.
yeah, it's pretty much centralized, but not until the founding of a chiefdom is like, in your case, government. Because hunter and gatherers are very egalitarian, where it's just a division of labor.
They're just.
There's
everybody,
really
it's just kind of people filling out an ecological niche.
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 Yeah.
And it didn't exist before, just finding their purpose and just kind of doing what, it works.
Yeah.
It was centralization that said, oh, you know what? You think you're good at fishing? You're not going to fish. You're going to hunt because I said so. Oh, you want to go light fires after 9 p.m.? Nope.
What?
That's where centralization. Anyways.
Oh, back onto that tourist topic.
We need to move on, but yeah,
Yeah, the Pont des Arts, the Lock Bridge, is a perfect example of what Phil was regarding to as a spoiling of something special because it just became
So
like
take Europe.
high.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, like it started with like a few like It's like the lovers bridge, but like they put their lock on it and throw the key into the river. It's like that was just a thing that was very special for somebody, and then once it became popularized, everybody started doing it, and the bridge actually the railings were collapsing. They had to like completely take off all the locks, take apart the railings because there was too many locks on the bridge. Perfect example of what Phil was talking about, how things can just be spoiled when they're too popularized.
So you're a big proponent, I take it though, of commercialization of space. No, not you, Doc.
Yeah,
You have to
I think
define
it could
commercialization. Nothing will ever be free.
if
In
it gets to the
terms
point
of
where
people offering space flight to free for the public.
What's wrong with that?
if it
No, I'd say, are you a proponent of that? Not is there a problem with that? That's a whole nother discussion. Are you a supporter of it?
Yeah, I want to go to space.
That's all I
if it
want
gets
to know.
if it gets too popularized, it could seem spoiled.
It's
Like
a
it doesn't
discussion
seem
for
like
another time.
I don't know.
I just wanted to know if you were a proponent of that or
I don't.
not.
Hell, I always thought flying was spoiled because my parents never flew me anywhere. We never flew anywhere.
You've been in a plane before, haven't you?
Yes, but
Yeah, DC.
it wasn't my parents. They're the ones that got me on the plane. That's why I always thought that flying on a plane was for spoiled people. Like who? What? You get to fly on a plane? Every time I hear my classmates always go, "Oh yeah, we took a plane to this place." Like, oh,
Well, yeah, that's how they go anywhere else.
I was just like, "You're spoiled." That's what I felt like. That
Well,
was
I mean,
privilege
plane-
to fly in a plane. Because flight is not cheap.
It depends where you go. In the U.S., definitely.
see that's one thing I have an issue with.
In,
How is it?
it's
How is it that
actually
you could travel?
really, really cheap to fly in European countries because
Yeah,
everything
okay.
is so close together.
How is it that you can fly across, travel all around Europe
You're
for
fading in and out.
practically nothing, but it costs $300 just to fly over two states or just travel, but within the U.S. it's so much more money compared to like
Part of it
European
is the U.S.
countries.
The other part is the distance. U.S. is a very large country compared to European countries.
Yeah, you have to remember, crossing Europe...
That is
Part of it
true.
is distance. The other part is it's just the U.S. and
Yeah.
everything's just expensive.
You gotta remember, going from like Portugal to Russia is like the same distance of going from California to Maine. It's a bit further than that,
That
but
yeah.
going California to Maine it's a long ways. But in Europe, everything's right there. But they also just have trains and they have, and since trains are so fast there and efficient, I think the plane companies also have to compete with that, and so they have to charge lower prices.